Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. My name is Joris and today I'm here with a video about the new ETFs on the block on the SIX stock exchange for 2024. And you see new is between quotation marks because not all the ETFs that I'm going to mention today are in fact new. So not new created this year, but they were already around before. But something is new about them so that they received a new listing on the SIX stock exchange. And if you go to the SIX stock exchange website and you go to the ETFs tab, then you will see that there are 1,886 ETFs on the SIX stock market right now. Then when you go to the new listing sub-tab of the ETFs site, then you will see that there are 256 new ETFs. You won't see it immediately because first you get the 199 passive managed ETFs, and then you have to select the active managed ETFs to see the other 57. A lot of those 256 new ETFs are in fact cumulative ones, and as you know, my channel and me myself as well, I like dividend paying ETFs, so I'm not going to discuss those, of course. Some are luckily distributing ones, but a lot of them invest toward bonds, and as you know, I don't like that aspect of ETFs, so those ETFs are out of the boat as well. And some of them are also swap based, so I don't like swap based ETFs either, so those are out of the boat as well. So I'm only left with 9 ones that are actually appealing to me and which I'm going to list today. They are fully replicated types. There are no sampling times. If there were, you would see it, of course, in the list that I'm going to list up. But for now, it's only fully replicated ones. And as you know, fully replicated or sampling ETFs are the way to go. So you have SADB. So it's new on the 6th since the 21st of May of this year, but it's not a new ETF, and you will see that with the inception date. So it's an Amundi Index MSCI Emerging Market Asia SRI PAB UCITS ETF with it's from Luxembourg, and a total expense ratio of 0.25%. It notes in US dollar on the SIX stock exchange. For 35.97 US dollar you can buy one share of this ETF, and the dividends are being paid out in US dollar. There are 114 holdings into this ETF, and there is 129 million invested into this ETF already. It's a fully replicated type, and yeah, the past year it's up 9.61%, the past 3 years it's down 19%, and since its inception, so it's existed since the 11th of August of 2021, and since its inception it is down 24.50%. So not great at all, but the emerging markets the past 5-10 years aren't really performing like the US market. So they are down. They pay out only one dividend per year, and it's in December. The first 2 years it paid out in November, but the last 2 years it's paying out in December. The dividend yield is 1.54%, and as you can see, it's 0.55 on the 10th of December. And here you can see how the index is actually followed and what the index is following. I'm not going to name everything, you can pause the video. But the constituents of this ETF, the top 10 holdings, they comprise 38.01% of the ETF. And as you can see, yeah, it's Asia, so many of those companies you don't know. TSMC, that's a well-known company, of course, so everybody knows that because it's also noted on the US market. But for the rest, yeah, BIT, that's also a known one with electric cars. but if you look at the countries distribution, it's China 25.70%, Taiwan 23.88%, India 21%, South Korea 14.69%. For me, I think these countries are really underrepresented in a lot of other ETFs. So in that regard, I think this ETF is a really interesting choice for people that want to invest into the Asian markets. Then you have WEBG, and that's from Amundi Prime All Country World UCITS ETF. A total expense ratio of only 0.07%. It's a Irish-based ETF, and it's on the 6th since the 21st of May of 2024, and this one is a new one. So you can buy one share for $11.462, and the dividend is being paid out in US dollars as well. There are 2,229 companies in this ETF, and there is already 2 billion invested into it. So it's new on the 6th, probably it's not new really, but its inception date is the 21st of February, so a lot of money invested. Probably there was another ETF before and it changed its names or something like that, so, or it started following another index, but it's truly new one this year, and there is already 2 billion invested into it, and it is up since its inception 14.50%. There is one dividend per year. In what month, I don't know, because there hasn't been a payment yet, and the dividend yield I don't know as well. So here you can read again what the index is investing towards. So it's developed and emerging markets worldwide. And these are the companies, well-known companies. You have Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, Broadcom, Eli Lilly, and TSMC once again. So around 60% invested towards the United States, 5.8% in Japan, 3.1% in the United Kingdom, almost 3.2%, then Canada 2.60%. Then we go to the next one. It's JRWU, and that's the JP Morgan All Country RAI Equity Active UCITS ETF. It's an Irish-based ETF with a total expense ratio of 0.25%, and it's new, recently new, so only 1 week or so old on the SIX stock exchange, and you can buy one share for $24.255. The dividend is being paid out in US dollar as well, but as you can expect with this new inception date, there isn't going to be a lot of information about the dividends. There are 665 holdings into this ETF, and there is 25 million invested into it. Fully replicated type, and yeah, I can't give anything because it dropped a bit on the SIX stock exchange since the 17th, but in fact it's a really short period, so I'm not going to mention anything here. It's going to pay quarterly dividends, but in which months I couldn't find it, and the dividend yield is unknown to me as well. And here you can see once again what the ETF is trying to follow, so which index they try to follow. And then you have the JEPG, the JP Morgan Global Equity Premium Income UCITS ETF US dollar. And you already know that. I already mentioned it in the video about the monthly paying ETFs, so the monthly dividend paying ETFs. And this one isn't new, but since the 7th of August we have the option to buy this one in Switzerland for Swiss francs. So that was really nice of JP Morgan. That makes it easier as well for people wanting to invest into this income generating global ETF. The currency on the 6, yeah, it's US dollar or Swiss francs. And the currency of the dividend is in US dollar. So even for the one in Swiss francs, you have the dividends being paid out in US dollar. You have 249 holdings in this ETF and $354 million is invested into it. It's a fully replicated type, and the past year it is up 9.10%, and since its inception, so almost 1 month more, it's up 9.31%. So it pays out monthly dividends. You always have to wait 1 month before it's being paid out, so you have X coupon date in 1 month, and then 1 month later you get the actual dividend, and more or less on the same date that you get paid, the new dividend is going X coupon. So it's every month, and the dividend yield is now for a complete year, it's complete, so it's 6.54%. This is how the fund is made up, so you can pause the video and read it completely. But as you can see, the top 10 holdings, the first 3 are already into the telecom business. Then you have United Health Group. Unfortunately, the CEO of that group got shot a week or 2 ago, so that was really unfortunate as well. Then you have Roper Technology, AbbVie, Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, everybody knows that, of course, with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Rest in peace, Charlie Munger. Then you have the Southern Co. Then you have PepsiCo, and then you have Microsoft. So a lot of interesting companies in this one, but the top 10 is only making up 15.14%. So that was something that I also really like about this ETF. And the distribution, yeah, the United States, it's making up 23% of the global economy, but in most ETFs they are hanging around 60%. So it's just the way it is. Then you have JEPI. I already mentioned that one in my other video as well, so I'm going to go really fast over this one. The JP Morgan US Equity Premium Income Active UCITS ETF, which is actually tracking the S&P 500 and also selling options on it to generate extra income. So you can buy this for 24.73 US dollar right now. The dividends are being paid out in US dollar as well. There are currently 245 companies into this ETF. They are going to build it up towards 500 because it's the S&P 500 that they are tracking. And there is already 23 million invested into this ETF. Since its inception, it is actually down 0.52%. It's going to pay out 12 dividends per year, but for now I can't give a dividend yield yet. This is how the ETF is constituted, so 2/3 is into equity and then 1/3 is going towards call options for additional income. Then you have JEPQ, so inception date the same date as the JEPI one, also from JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income Active UCITS ETF. So I already talked about that one in my video about monthly dividend paying ETFs. So I'm also going to go quickly over this one as well. So right now you can buy one share for $25.77. The dividend is being paid out in US dollar. There are already 93 holdings into this ETF from the 100 because it's following the Nasdaq 100. And I thought it was an error, but there is already $854 million invested into it. And it's only been around for a month and 20 days. So there is a lot of money going towards the Nasdaq 100. And that's what I said, a lot of European investors, they are putting money towards the US, and that is what you can see here. The Nasdaq 100, it's always the better one before performing. So when, for example, the Dow Jones goes up 0.20%, then the S&P is going up 0.50%, and the Nasdaq 100 is going up 0.80%. So it's almost more or less like that, but you have the opposite direction as well. So when it goes negative, the Dow Jones goes down minus 0.2, then the S&P 500 is down 0.5% or 0.6%, and the Nasdaq 100 is down 0.80 up to 1%. So that's always the thing that you have to think about. So it's going to pay out 12 dividends per year, but the dividend yield is still a question mark. Here, the same composition more or less as for JEPI, so 2/3 equity and 1/3 into covered call options for additional income. And then you have the JSED, the JP Morgan Europe RAI Equity SRI BAB Active UCITS ETF. It's quite a name, but it invests towards Europe. So I'm a fan of ETFs that invest towards Europe. Total expense ratio isn't bad either, 0.25%, an Irish-based ETF, and it's new since 9 days ago. You can buy one share for 24.155 euros, and the dividend is going to pay it out in euros as well. There are 199 holdings into this ETF, and there is 9.5 million invested into this one. It's been around for 9 days now, and it is down 0.19%. Then you have the information that it's going to pay out quarterly dividends, but in which months and what the dividend yield is going to be, that's unknown. So I'm also curious about that. Here you can read how and which index this ETF is going to track, and I think it's really important they really stress the ESG norms. And then you have an oldie, but since the 27th of September of this year, you can buy this ETF in Swiss francs as well. It's an ETF from UBS. It's the EUREUA, and it's the Fund Solution MSCI Europe UCITS ETF. So once again, an ETF that invests towards Europe, and with a total expense ratio of only 0.10%. Tracking the MSCI Europe, it's really a good ETF. And now we can buy it in euro and in Swiss francs. So since the 27th of September, the Swiss francs option is available. You can see the difference between the two, because the Swiss francs is still really strong compared to the euro, and the dividend is going to be paid out in euro as well. There are 414 holdings in this ETF, and there is 286 million Swiss francs invested into this ETF. Since its inception, that was already in the 5th of October of 2009, it is up 217.92%. The past 5 years it is up 36.50%, the past 3 years it is up 14.50%, and this past year it is up 8.12%. It pays out 2 dividends per year. It's UBS, of course, so it pays out in February and in August, and the dividend yield is 2.69%. So in February it's quite lower than in August, but in August, you get the majority of the income for this ETF. It invests towards Novo Nordisk, ASML Holding, Nestlé, SAP, AstraZeneca, Roche Holding, Novartis, Shell, Louis Vuitton, HSBC. So I think it's a really great index, the MSCI Europe index. So a lot of Europeans should invest more towards the MSCI Europe index. If you see this list, it's more diverse than the list of of companies that are in the S&P 500 there. the top 10, it's almost all technology related. Here you have a more nicer spread over the different sectors. So here as well, the country distribution, look at that. The UK 21%, France almost 16%, Switzerland 15.5%, Germany 13.8%, Netherlands almost 8%, Sweden almost 5%, Spain 4%, Italy 4%. So you have a nice geographical distribution and a nice sectorial distribution. So the MSCI Europe index is a really nice index. And then you have the GRA or EIT, and that's the ETF from UBS that invests towards the FTSE EPRA Nareit developed green UCITS ETF, and it's an Irish-based ETF with a total expense ratio of 0.25%. You can buy one share for $111.52. The dividend is being paid out in US dollars as well, and it invests towards 329 companies. There is 172 million invested into it, and it's a fully replicated type. Since its inception, so it's been around since the end of August of 2024, it is down 8%, and it's going to pay out 2 dividends per year. So once again, it's UBS, so it's going to be in February and in August, but it started on the 26th of August, and then the 7th of August was already passed, so no dividend for this year, of course. But it tracks the real estate companies from developed countries worldwide, and the constituent weights are based on sustainability criteria, so green building certification and energy usage. And look at this list of holdings. So it's a REIT based, and there you see Realty Income, Equinix, Public Storage, Prologis, Simon Property Group, Digital Realty Trust, Vici Properties as well. So you have a bunch of real estate. And yeah, in Switzerland you don't have the problem, of course, of the dividends being, how do you call it? I never mentioned it, of course, because we don't have the problem of qualified or non-qualified. So here in Switzerland we don't have that problem. Here it's just regarded as income, and you have to declare the dividends that you receive from this ETF as normal. Yeah, not right now because it didn't pay out any dividends, of course, but next year when they have paid out dividends in February and in August, you just have to declare it here in Switzerland as normal income from your ETFs, and then you're going to be taxed according to your complete income bracket. And with that being said, oh yeah, the countries, the United States 65%, because you have a lot of REITs, of course, in the United States. And then you have Japan, Australia, Hong Kong, United Kingdom. So a lot of different countries, but the United States make up the majority of the stocks there. And with that being said, I thank you for watching to this one. Please hit that subscribe button, it helps out the channel enormously. Also hitting that like button helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, thank you for watching to this one, and see you on the next one. Bye!